I had to check myself last night. I was sitting there, I was laying in bed, and I don't know about you guys, but sometimes I can be tired for hours. And then I finally get to bed, and I just can't turn my mind off. So I'm laying there, and I get to thinking about the channel, and I realize that I do a lot of crapping on the NBA. I criticize the NBA a lot. Which, in my defense, the NBA and its players, they give me plenty of material to criticize. I talk regularly about all of the problems in the modern NBA, but I got to thinking last night, I never really offer any solutions. I'm generally not the type to complain, at least without coming up with a solution to what I'm complaining about. So, what we're going to do today, we're going to go over a few of the litany of problems in the NBA, and I'm going to give you my solution to each problem. At the end of the video, I want you guys to tell me if my solutions are plausible, if they're realistic, or if I'm off base. So let's get started. Now, obviously, the biggest problem in the modern NBA is that the league has become so political. You can blame LeBron James, you can blame Giannis. I don't blame the players, at least not put all of the blame on the players. Yes, they are the ones with the platform, they are the most vocal. But this political problem in the NBA, it starts at the top. I blame Adam Silver. Roger Goodell gave Adam Silver the blueprint on how to handle this problem. A few years ago, when Colin Kaepernick decided that he wanted to become a political activist instead of being a football player, Roger Goodell granted him his wish. Colin Kaepernick was essentially blackballed from the NFL. Now, whether or not Roger Goodell was instrumental in that happening, I don't know. But it is hard for me to believe that he didn't at least have something to do with it. I mean, there was not a team in the NFL that was willing to give Colin Kaepernick a look. They wouldn't touch him. When all of the social justice and the racial stuff was going on, the riots last summer, the NBA was going full-blown woke. Roger Goodell gave the players in the NFL 1 week to promote social justice. Week 1 of the regular season. After that, it was back to business as usual, back to football. Do you ever notice that we don't see NFL players promoting social justice or racial politics? Why do you think that is? Because Roger Goodell knows it's bad for business. Now, contrast that with the NBA, where Adam Silver allows his players to promote whatever political cause that they want. LeBron James basically threatens the life of a cop on Twitter. And the NBA front office says nothing. They should have suspended LeBron James over that at minimum. Instead, they do and say nothing about it. They pretend it just didn't happen. We can't touch the king. He's our biggest star. We can't draw ratings without LeBron James. You aren't drawing ratings with LeBron James either. NBA ratings are at record lows, and the playoffs are setting up to be a complete disaster in terms of TV ratings. In my lifetime, the NBA has never been this unpopular. People are legitimately turned off by the NBA right now, and they're voting with their remote control. I had someone comment on one of my videos earlier this week, and he said the only time people don't want politics in sports is when they disagree with the politics that are being promoted. For example, if someone's a Republican, they don't want LeBron James preaching social justice. If someone's a Democrat, they don't want a guy like Drew Brees being critical of players that are kneeling for the national anthem. And you know what? That guy that commented on my video, he was absolutely right. But it proves my point. It proves the point that I have been hammering for the past year. It's the reason politics and sports don't mix, because from a business perspective, you can't win. LeBron James's political stance is going to piss off half of your audience. The same with Drew Brees. So it's best to just shut the hell up, play basketball or play football, and keep the political opinions to yourself. This is where Adam Silver has to step in and do something. There is a clause in every contract. Players are not allowed to display conduct that can be deemed detrimental to the team or detrimental to the league. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm pretty sure LeBron James and other NBA players' promotion of politics has been pretty damn detrimental to the NBA. Adam Silver needs to step in and take control of this situation. He needs to convince these players at minimum that they are hurting the overall product. Now, is he going to do that? Of course not. Because Adam Silver is the weakest commissioner in all of professional sports. The players in the NBA hold all the power, which leads me to my next point. Super teams. Super teams are killing the NBA. The league is facing a serious problem right now. A lack of competitiveness. I mentioned in a video last month, there was a weekend in early April where the majority of NBA games that weekend were absolute blowouts. Some games by as much as 30 or 40 points. There is no competitive balance. Even in the playoffs, there's no competitive balance. This season, everyone is expecting the Brooklyn Nets to just walk through the NBA Finals. The only team that could have stopped them or could have made it a decent series was the Lakers. And their two stars, they can't make it through a game without getting injured. One of the problems with these super teams are how they are formed. Take James Harden, for example. The way that he left the Rockets was unacceptable. Anthony Davis did the same thing in New Orleans. Dwight Howard did the same thing to the Magic 10 years ago. The NBA has tried to solve this problem in the past by just throwing money at the problem. The players, they can make more money by staying with their current team or the team that drafted them. But that clearly is not working. James Harden turned down over $100 million over 2 years when he left Houston. All of this player movement, team or guys changing teams all the time, it makes it impossible for the NBA to market their star players. It is rare for a player in the NBA to remain on one team for the majority of his career. Giannis right now is the only one that I can think of. Now, in past generations, it was, I don't want to call it the norm, but it definitely wasn't unusual. Michael Jordan in the Bulls, Patrick Ewing in the Knicks, Reggie Miller in the Pacers, Magic Johnson in the Lakers, Kobe, Larry Bird, Tim Duncan. These guys stayed with their teams. It made it easier for the NBA to market them. You can't market LeBron James when he is changing teams every 3 years. Kawhi Leonard has been on 3 teams in 4 years. Kevin Durant, Oklahoma City, to Golden State, to Brooklyn. These franchises in the NBA, they have no control over the players. Now, how do you fix this problem? It's kind of simple on the surface, but it would be hard to get the players' union to go along with it. But the NBA has got to get rid of guaranteed contracts. When James Harden pulled what he did with the Rockets a couple of months ago, basically deciding that he wanted out, he was not going to give any effort, not being a part of the team, the Rockets still had to pay him his full salary. Now you tell me, what other job on the planet do you get paid in full to not perform? It just doesn't make any sense. The NBA needs to adopt the NFL model when it comes to player contracts. If James Harden would have pulled that in the NFL, he just would have sat home and not been paid. When he decided he was ready to come back and play, the team would own the rights to him because he's under contract. The guaranteed contracts in the NBA also contribute to a lack of competitiveness. First of all, there are far too many max contracts given out to players who simply don't deserve them. Look, I am all for players making the most money that they can. I mean, careers are short. But is a guy like Brandon Ingram in New Orleans really a max contract player? Is De'Aaron Fox in Sacramento a max contract player? Both of those guys are making maximum money. And neither the Pelicans or the Kings are going to make the playoffs. In a year where the playoff field has been expanded to 20 teams, over half of the league is making the playoffs, 60%. There are very few contracts in the NFL that are fully guaranteed. If a player in the NFL is failing to perform at an acceptable level, once the guaranteed money on the contract has been paid out, the team can just cut him. It incentivizes players to perform. There is no incentive like that in the NBA. Players just coast through the regular season. A team like the Clippers, Kawhi Leonard can sit 25-30% of the regular season for load management, and he's going to make the same money. It doesn't matter if the Clippers lose 20, 25, or 30 games in the regular season. Kawhi Leonard knows that they're going to make the playoffs anyway. Which leads me to my next problem. The NBA regular season has become irrelevant. The reason it's irrelevant is because the players in the NBA treat the regular season like it doesn't matter. If the players don't care about it, then why should the fans? One simple solution that would help a little bit with this problem: get rid of load management. If a player is healthy, he plays. I mean, this is simple to enforce, and there are already rules established for Adam Silver to get this done, but he just rarely enforces it. There has never been this level of healthy scratches in the history of the NBA. The Last Dance documentary that aired last year on Michael Jordan, it reminded me of what we are missing in the modern NBA. Back then, the game had passion. It didn't matter if it was the regular season or the playoffs. There was passion in every game. The ratings for that documentary were massive. More people watched a documentary on Michael Jordan 20 some odd years after he left the NBA than have watched a regular season NBA game all year. They had passion back then because there were organic rivalries. Rivalries developed because the players actually cared. They wanted to win. It didn't matter if it was a regular season game or game 7. The drive to win was the same. There are not rivalries in the NBA anymore. Oftentimes, rivalries will develop in the playoffs, but they carry over to the regular season too. Fans used to get excited to see the Bulls play the Knicks in the middle of February, or the Lakers and the Spurs play in November. Can you remember the last time we had a marquee game in the regular season in the NBA? An NBA regular season game that felt like it actually mattered? It's been years. Now let's get to the final issue. And to be honest, I really don't know if I know a solution to this one. Actually, I can think of a solution. I'll tell you in just a second. The modern NBA, this is the final problem. The modern NBA is full of beta males. Let me ask you something. Who is the alpha male in today's NBA? I can't think of one. I can't think of a player who is an alpha male that is a leader in the league. And don't tell me that this is a generational thing either. The NFL is full of alpha males. The UFC, full of alpha males. The NBA, full of betas. Kevin Durant, beta. Kyrie Irving, beta. The only alpha I can think of in the NBA is Russell Westbrook, and he doesn't get the credit that he deserves. This is another problem that starts at the top. Teams take on the personalities of their head coach, and leagues take on the personalities of their commissioner. Roger Goodell, tough, no nonsense. Most players in the NFL are the same way. Dana White, he's brash, he's arrogant, he's in your face. Dana White's a dog. Most UFC fighters are the same way. Then you have Adam Silver. Weak. He's a pussycat. When David Stern was running the NBA, the league was full of tough players. And he hasn't been out of power that long. Adam Silver's only been running the league for the past 5-6 years. In that short amount of time, the NBA has declined at a rapid rate, and the players have become weaker and weaker. To sum things up, there's one way to solve just about every problem that the NBA faces right now. Adam Silver has to go. He has got to go. If he were in politics, he would be a one-term president. In 6 years, this dude has taken a gold mine that David Stern built over 3 or 4 decades, and turned it into a junkyard. The NBA is in desperate need of leadership. Someone who can address these problems and get them resolved. Clearly, Adam Silver is not qualified to do that. His solution to every problem, it seems, is to kick it to LeBron James, let him solve it. And LeBron James, not qualified to do it either. Now, will the league owners in the NBA push for Adam Silver's departure or his exit? At this point, no. But if things continue to go this badly for the NBA, if the money for the next television deal declines instead of increases, and teams continue to lose money, maybe, just maybe, we can get rid of the Adam Silver problem in the NBA. Because he is doing nothing to fix this league. All right, what do you guys think? Are my solutions to some of these problems in the NBA, are they realistic? If you have a different solution, let me know in the comments below. I'm interested to see what you say. If you know of any other problems in the NBA that I haven't touched on, let me know, and I'll try to get to them in another video. Make sure to like and subscribe. Click the notification bell to receive all notifications from the channel. Best way to contact me is by email at btlkc84@gmail.com. KC_BTL84 on Twitter. I'll see you guys tomorrow.